wanted to answer some of my very frequent questions about cheese making. Sorry, I'm looking for about cheese making. One of which I constantly get questions about is backsplash whey. So that is my term. I've seen it written in books, but I've also heard it called a backslop whey. It's essentially just using your whey from another day to start getting the cultures in your cheese developed. And that's actually been centuries and centuries old. I mean, I did not come up with that. It would pretty much be how you started your cheese. If you would use your whey from your cheese the day before to start your next batch. And it would have a lot more acid because it had been sat for so long. And so it did a number of things to the cheese making process. Oh, he dropped something. Sorry, I got kids eating lunch. So a lot of people want to know how well, sorry, got a text message. They want to know how long their backsplash whey will last in the fridge. And I have done many, many, many times, and I've got at least 2 weeks out of the same batch of whey from cheese making. I think that 2 weeks is about max. You will smell it, and it will be not a real sweet smell to it any longer. You can smell it as soon as you put it in your jar. When you take it off of your cheese making, take it off, give it a good smell. That's what you want to keep it at. If you open it in a week or two and it smells more sour, more tangy, I would go ahead and toss it and start with a new batch and use a culture. And that just helps you save money, honestly. And it is more of a traditional way because that's how they used to do it. But yet they used to leave it setting out. The whey would be sitting out overnight or over a day or so before they would use it to make their next batch of cheese. So that's not exactly how we do it, but that really can help you with the cost. So I have successfully done that with a thermophilic culture. I have done that with mesophilic cultures. I have done it with a little bit more complex cultures like the MA11 and the MA4002. I am not 100% sure, but I would assume this would work, and I would love to hear feedback from people that might actually know. I'm making a raclette right now, and this has bee linens added to it along with the culture. If I were to save the whey, which I'm going to because I'm a curious soul, and I put that in the fridge, it essentially has that bee linens also in it. So I'm curious to know if that would be in my next batches, right? Like, it saves all the culture from that cheese that you're producing. I'm really pretty sure, but I don't know. I don't have firsthand knowledge yet. But another way to preserve that whey would be to freeze it. I like to do half cup intervals, increments. Most of my cheese making recipes, I can use half a cup to a cup of backsplash whey to culture my 6 gallons. So I like to keep half cup increments. I actually have super cubes is what I freeze them in, and it's measured out in half cups. And then I can freeze that. And it takes a little bit of time when I start to warm up my milk to make cheese. I can grab one of those out of the freezer, stick it in a mason jar, pint mason jar, and I add it, even if it's still a little clumpy and cold, whenever it's time to add the culture, and it heats up just fine like that. You can freeze them, no problem. You don't want them to get too hot. You can kill your cultures through heat, but freezing them does not kill that culture, obviously, because they come freeze-dried, right? Another question that I get is, in hot weather or hot areas of the world, here in Virginia in the U.S., we have very distinct 4 seasons. So for me, the hottest part would be our summer, and it can be pretty, we can control it. But places like Australia, I get questions on how you would go about cheese making in that kind of temperature. And the majority of that problem would only happen in your aging or in your air drying. So if I were to live in a much warmer environment, I would definitely not air dry my cheeses on the counter. They would probably start to melt the fat. And a lot of impromptu, opportunistic bacteria and mold would love to get a hold of your cheeses like that. So anything that says air dry in that temperature, I would go ahead and put it in the fridge, just with a cloth covering it until you get that surface, that texture that you're looking for, the dryness on that. Another thing is aging. I am not a really good person to ask about affinage, is what it's called, but aging places, because I still don't have a wine fridge or an area of my house that is really great for aging cheeses. So sometimes I use my cellar depending on the time of the year, but most of the time it's just in a fridge outside in our building that is regular fridge temperatures. So I would definitely make sure that you have at least fridge temps. I mean, at the worst case scenario, use a fridge like I do. But I come up with some pretty dang good cheeses with using just the fridge. And one day I will either buy, there is a thermostat like override that you can connect to cheesemaking.com. I have flies. This is a farm and my flies love me. There is a override thermometer that you can get from cheesemaking.com that you can override just a regular fridge, so that you can have the temperature set at a better temperature, like a wine fridge. Wine and cheese, isn't that lovely? They both like the same temperatures. Isn't that perfect little match made in heaven? So that is a great option. I will do that one day. We actually, so I haven't told you guys this because they haven't started yet, but anytime now. Bye. We will be adding on to our home. We have a very old house. Our house was built in the 1760s. 1760s. And the room that I'm in is added on after that, probably 18th century. Sometime, the turn of the century, 19th century, something like that, whatever. Lots of rooms have been added on. It's an old home. So we don't have a whole lot of square footage either. And we are a family of 8. So we're actually busting this wall behind me. We're expanding the kitchen. So all of our funds currently are not being spent on anything besides this addition. So maybe after that, and having more room, I really don't have a spot to even put a wine fridge where it wouldn't really literally be in the way. We are homeschoolers, so we are here all day long. So there's no place, or everything we live in is right around us. We live with everything we own. We don't have a storage room or a basement or anything like that. Like I said, I do have a cellar, but it's got a lot of moisture. I've probably taken you guys down there before. So yeah, those are my most common. Backsplash way questions are my most common things I get asked about. Also, about the heat, different places. A lot of people really worry that their temperature is too hot. And another thing about pressing, lots of people are asking me about the press that I use, where I've gotten it from. The press that I have used for 3 years, I got off eBay. I needed the most entry level, I needed the cheapest, most cost efficient entry level press. That worked great. You can rig up all kinds of things. All you really are doing is trying to shape your cheese into whatever shape you want. It doesn't even have to be round. Obviously, we have bricks of cheese too. Nice little fly. But, and then pressing the whey out. That's literally what you're doing. So if you have a good form, you can literally put weights on top of your form or your mold. But I have just recently upgraded to the New England Cheesemaking press. And that it's way smoother. It's a lot less. I don't have to screw the top down. I'm sure you've seen me in my videos screwing the little, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about. But that was fine. It did the job. My cheaper version from eBay did the job. But I am so thankful to have a little bit better of a cheese press that you're going to be seeing in my videos from now on. So yeah, so that is my quick little video answering a couple questions. I will see you again next time. Happy cheese making. And oh, God bless, and I speak Jesus over you. Bye.